Welcome to part 6 in the Advanced Projects Allocations by Progressus video series, running the allocation processor in preliminary mode. In this video, we cover running the allocation processor and reviewing allocation logs to check for errors. We also open the working results to view the transactions that will be created during final mode. We filter the results and discuss how to tie these records back to entries in the project ledger entry page and the allocation method. We recommend viewing parts 1 through 5 in this video series prior to viewing part 6, as many of the core concepts we discussed here are covered in those videos. We will show allocations for one of our projects that we have. You'll notice I have this project, and if I review the card, we can see that we have allocation method of cost and then the rate table of standard set up. So we would like to run the process on this project. If I run processor, I can run it in preliminary, which allows me to see the results before I post them. I will run for a 5/31/20 date, and I'm going to choose my project of IRV1. I'm going to run it through the posting date of 5/31/20. This will allow me to have a cutoff. Everything up till 5/31/20 will be included. And I will calculate. I can evaluate the errors. It gives me a log file which will show me if something was skipped. So it's going to cycle through all my allocation method lines, and it will notate if it skipped a line for any reason. We'll come back to that. I can also open the results of my transaction so I can see what's been posted. So for simplicity's sake, we will filter this down. I'm going to filter on a specific entry number. So I'm going to choose filter on to this value. So now I have these lines here that represent just one transaction from my project ledger entry. My project ledger entry is here. It's entry number 47. For Mark Hansen, and we'll see that it has a cost of $1,000. So we'll notice for the first line in our allocation method, if I reference back to my allocation method, we'll see that we're pulling direct labor for resources here, and we're taking 1 times the amount of the resource line. So if I look at my resource amount that's allocated, my transaction was for $1,000. So the basis amount is 1,000, and it's calculating and holding. Now it went to my rate tables and it found the applicable rate, 40% for direct, 45% for billing, and it generated a posting for both to the allocation amount. So I have $400 created for the direct cost amount and $450 created for the billing amount. The next line is to calculate overhead. If I look at my method again, you'll see I have fringe. That was the 400 and the 450. Now I will apply overhead to that 400 and 450, and I'm going to apply a billing rate or a direct cost rate based off of the overhead rate. So this additional level here, level 30 or step 30, you'll see that it's taking the $1,000 and it found an 18% amount for both cost and billing here, and it's going to apply those. So on the billing side, it's taking the 1,000 plus the 450, so I have an allocation amount that it's based off of 1,450, and 1,450 times 0.18 equals 261. You'll notice I do not have an allocation amount on the cost side, but let's see why. So if I go back to my allocation method for the third line, you'll notice I'm only doing a billing rate. So that even though there's a cost rate in my setup, it's only applying the billing rate because that's what I've chosen. So then the last line should be direct usage. So I would not expect the billing rate to be calculated and only have cost. So let's check out and see what we have here. So for this last line, I see that I have direct costs. So $1,000 was my labor. And then it applied 400 for my fringe, so then the 1400 becomes the amount that applies the G&A on. I didn't have a cost rate for the overhead, so I have 0 calculated here. So 1400 times 0.10 equals 140. So when this posts, I would get $140 posted to overhead, $400 posted to fringe, and so forth. So let's look at another transaction. I'm going to clear my filter, and I'm going to look at one of my expense lines. So this is my hotel. So I'm going to filter to this value. And you'll notice for hotel, it's going to be a different result. So hotel comes in on this line here as an expense. And what will happen is it will be used to calculate the G&A. So if I look at my allocation results for hotel, I have no postings for any of the first lines because those apply to resources. This line here applies to items. So the only one that applies to expenses is step 50. So we get the 500 and then we get a rate. And again, it's only posting the direct usage. So we get a $500 posting because it's direct usage only to G&A. And so $500 is the basis times 0.1. We get a $50 posting to G&A. So I like my results. I'm comfortable with them. Now let's go back and we're going to run allocator and final. So I'm going to do process, final, same project. Thank you for your time in reviewing our video on running the allocation processor in preliminary mode in Progressus Advanced Projects Allocations. For more information on allocations, please be sure to view the other videos in the allocation training video series or the allocations help page noted here.